I can distinctly remember my first panic attack. I was sitting in my differential equations class, my second year of university. The room started spinning, my palms started sweating, my heart started thudding, and I just had to run into the classroom because I had no clue what was going on. I honestly thought that I was about to die because it was just an experience that I've never felt before, and not knowing what a panic attack feels like, it can be an exceptionally scary thing. I ran to the bathroom and kind of sat in the stall for 30 minutes trying to calm myself down and kind of understand what was happening to me, and I really just couldn't comprehend what was going on. After that, my classes were canceled because it was in the middle of the winter, so I ended up driving home, and that drive home was absolute torture. I lived about 30 minutes away from the school on a normal day, but that day, I had to pull over on the side of the highway because I honestly didn't know what was going on. When I got home, I went to my bedroom, closed the door, and laid in bed with the covers over my head, eyes shut for 20 hours or so until my body felt kind of normal. But after that point, every single day, I was scared that that was going to happen again and again. And it was kind of a vicious cycle where I was anxious that that feeling was going to happen again because at the time, I didn't realize that it was a panic attack. And like I said, not knowing what a panic attack feels like when you first have one, it's an exceptionally scary thing. Today, October 10th, is World Mental Health Day, and I am someone that suffers a lot with anxiety and panic attacks. I want to share my experiences with you folks and kind of normalize talking about mental health and not have it be such a taboo thing that, oh, he suffers with mental health, kind of got a hush hush, don't talk about that. No, we want to bring this to the forefront and realize that this is something that people suffer with, and it's not something to be ashamed of. It's something to be spoken about and kind of brought out to the forefront. We never know who's suffering because it's not like mental health really shows out there like a broken leg. No, it's not something like that at all. Someone can look perfectly fine, but on the inside of their head, it's a mental torture chamber. And that's something that I've experienced firsthand. Day to day, I suffer with anxiety and panic, but I go to work each and every day. And when I'm at work, no one will be able to tell that I'm having very bad anxiety or feeling exceptionally on the edge of a panic attack. The point of that is really just to say we don't know who's suffering. So don't think that if someone's having a perfect life, that they're not dealing with other issues, because mental health isn't something that can just be worn out there like a broken leg. It's not. It's something that you have to really be willing to share with someone, or have someone that's going through similar things and recognizes it in someone that they're dealing with anxiety and panic. And that's what happened in my situation. I was fortunate enough to have quite a few people in my life, or I guess fortunate might not be the right word, but I had quite a few people in my life that also dealt with mental health issues. So when I was starting to have these feelings and being like I was, they were able to recognize and kind of sit me down and talk to me through what was going on. And from that, I was able to be connected to my doctor and realize that what I'm dealing with is anxiety and panic. So how does anxiety and panic impact my everyday life? Because there's not a day that goes by that I don't have some sort of anxiety, some sort of panic, and it's pretty difficult. So there's three main things that I have anxiety about. So there's three main things that I have anxiety about. I have anxiety about choking, I have anxiety about health-related things, and I have anxiety about the health and wellness of my loved ones. So here's a few examples of how those things really impact my life. The choking one is a big one because, well, a man's got to eat. I run a lot, and I need some nutrition in order to get my body fueled and get out there. And mainly the thing is, I'm avoiding foods that I really do like. Like, I'll avoid steak or anything that I feel is more prone to choking on. I'll completely avoid it. And even when I'm sitting down and eating something that I'm comfortable with, I have a sense of anxiety and panic eating that meal because I'm so nervous that I'm going to choke on something. And I know that this probably sounds pretty funny to listen to. It sounds funny me talking about it. But this all started happening after I had a pretty traumatic experience when I was in a triathlon in Switzerland. I ended up almost drowning. I was in the middle of a lake and I started swallowing a bunch of water and panicking in the water, which is one of the worst things you can do. And I had to scream at the top of my lungs while people were passing me to come and help me. And the lifeguard fortunately was nearby and was able to come over and help me. But even talking about that experience now just gives me a very big sense of tension in my body, and it's not something I like to bring up very often. The health anxiety is something that also really impacts my day-to-day life because right now, it's impacting my ability to run hard. I don't want to go out there and run long or run hard because I'm scared that it's gonna negatively impact my health. Maybe I'll have a heart attack, or who knows what the case may be. That's what the thoughts are going on in my mind. it's terrible. Like, I've gone to the extent of going and getting an EKG, a bunch of blood tests, and nothing has come up, but my mind is still stuck in that negative thought pattern that something's bad is going to happen if I run hard, or if I go for a long run, who knows what's going to happen. It's really, really difficult, and something that really upsets me is how much that health anxiety is impacting my day-to-day life, because I want to be able to run hard because I know I have the capability to. I used to be a very, very, not super fast, but I used to be able to run hard and kind of go through it. And that's something that I miss feeling. So those are my main sources of anxiety and kind of how they impact my day-to-day life. So yes, I have this anxiety and I have this panic disorder, but I'm still able to go out and function during my day-to-day life. Like, I still go to work, I still make these videos, I'm still like productive in a sense. So how am I able to do that? Well, it's very, very difficult. I'm going to be quite honest with you, but there are a few things that I do that kind of allow me to manage. So something that really helps, and something I've spoken about before on the channel, is running. Yes, running, although I'm having a little bit difficulty right now with my running hard, running in itself is one of the best medications I can take for anxiety and panic and mental health issues. Getting out there and exploring this beautiful world and pounding the pavement and having a lot of these beautiful running shoes that I can wear and kind of experience is something that gives me so much joy and relieves so much tension and anxiety. And honestly, back in the day when I used to be able to run hard, that was my outlet to get all that sorts of angst out of my body. And I hope to be able to get to that point again. I'm working towards it, and we will get there 100%. But right now, just going out there and running slow is still a major, major source of relief. And something else that I try to do that I don't do a great job of, but I do try to do as frequent as possible is when I start having this anxiety and starting having thoughts of things that could happen and I'm starting to feel that panic build up in my body, I'll just go out and do the thing that I'm starting to have those thoughts about. For example, if I'm out there on a run and I start having really bad thoughts about, oh, I probably shouldn't run hard because of XYZ, I'll run hard for a little bit. And if XYZ doesn't happen, excellent. That means that it's just a thought in my mind, and doing that over and over really can help me get over that anxiety. I know this stuff sounds very silly to talk about it, but it's the truth. It's how my mind works. So doing the thing that I'm having anxiety about does seem to really help me get over that thing. But anxiety is evil, and it will just kind of find something else to get me anxious about. But we got to develop these coping mechanisms and strategies somehow, right? And I've also gone to counseling in the past with licensed social workers, and the strategies that she gave me really did seem to help, and I still use them to this day. And something I very recently started to do, like within the last month, is meditating each and every night. And honestly, this has had a profound impact on my day-to-day life, even more profound than I thought it would. So the app that I use for guided meditation is called Headspace, and what they essentially do is kind of talk you through a guided meditation session and talk you through how you can apply those things to your day-to-day life. How you can, when you're starting to get lost in your train of thought, how you can bring yourself back down and calm yourself. And having those strategies have really honestly impacted my day-to-day life. And I'm going to do a full video on how meditation has impacted my day-to-day life as well as my running, because it is impacting my running as well, believe it or not. And lastly, I just want to say there is no shame at all in admitting that you have a mental health issue or going out and seeking help. There is literally nothing wrong with that. I used to think that 100%. Back when I first started suffering, I was ashamed to admit that I had issues with mental health, because in my mind, it was, oh, I just can't deal with this anxious thought, or I can't deal with these negative emotions, so that must mean I'm weak. That is not the case at all. And mental health is a real issue. Just like having a broken leg is an issue, having mental health issues is a real issue that anyone can suffer. We as men have a very difficult time in admitting that mental health can impact us. And when it is impacting us, we kind of keep that buried down inside and don't talk about it. We kind of just bury on through until it boils up so much that we can't take it anymore, and then we snap. That's pretty much how I see it, and I'm sorry, but I'm just calling it how I see it. So folks, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling very anxious, if you're having panic attacks and those emotions are impacting your day-to-day life, please talk to someone. It doesn't have to be a doctor. It doesn't have to be a counselor. Find a friend. And if you don't have anyone that you feel comfortable talking to, find someone online or reach out to me on Instagram and we can talk about it. But if you have the opportunity, speak to your doctor. Go seek counseling. It's not anything to be ashamed of. It's something that anyone can suffer from. Like I mentioned, it doesn't matter how perfect someone looks like from the outside. We don't know what's going on the inside of their head. It could be a torture chamber. All right, folks. A little bit different today, but I feel that it's very important to use any sort of platform that I have to get this message out there and share how important it is to get mental health out to the mainstream and out to the forefront and realize that it can impact anyone. All right, thank you all so much for making it to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next one.